Hello, and let me tell you a story. A story of Kaisa, the Void, a ruined city, and the Lavender Sea. A story about Bel'Veth, the Empress of the Void. Okay, Kaisa pants, looking up at the shape growing in front of, above, and simultaneously all around her. The monster's wings spread 20 arm lengths in every direction, dominating her field of vision. Not that Kaisa has a choice where to look, with a half-dozen ambulatory arms holding her head against the wall. The creature's mass continues to expand and fills the ocean of nightmares it calls home. Each glistening tooth, now the size of a grown adult, and getting bigger. Its 4 predatory eyes gaze down on Kaisa with cold dispassion. Possibly hunger. At this scale, it's hard to tell. She liked it better when it was person-shaped. Okay, she repeats. She can't move her armor, which is frozen in some sort of paralytic awe. The suit is a parasite, and one of more base creatures of the void can spit out. Is awe something it can even feel? Either way, her body is stuck in place, unless something dramatic changes. This is probably the end. Kaisa's mind ticks through a few last-ditch efforts, firing her cannons back into the wall, firing them into the thing's mouth, jaws. She remembers how fast this monster is, and how big it is. Fast and big. Fantastic. Last stitch might not amount to much, and Kaisa would definitely die, but at least it would be something. She could make it hurt. My true self displeases you, it speaks, much too calmly, its voice so loud it rattles the entire space, knocking hideous patchwork geometry loose as thousands of void remora pour from the jagged holes. It is the voice that bends and contracts, whispers and screams. The layers continue without end, an aura sung not by one voice, but by millions. Kaisa's eyes widen with realization. That's where all the people went. The void had torn through the now very former city of Bel'Veth in under an hour. Kaisa hadn't been able to make it in time, and the once bustling metropolis was gone. Everything, everyone, what remained now resembled a giant glowing crater of shattered pieces, rearranging into something unrecognizably alien. The structure shifting as if to recreate frozen creature shapes, frozen humanoid shapes, like a child setting up a town. But where had all the people gone? The Vistaya, the animals and plants. She fought her way through the shattered city and into the tunnel at the center of the empty bay, seeing no sign of anyone. Only fresh void-born horrors like mile-high iridescent tentacles and masses she had been thinking of as balls of screaming torsos. It didn't make any sense. The remains of the void attacks aren't pretty, but usually there's something left. Now she knows why. You are the city, Kaisa spits through the reverberating wall of sound. Bel'Veth is you. Yes, says Bel'Veth, gently undulating her wings. The raw components of their lives served as the genesis for my birth. Memories, emotions, history. I am as much Bel'Veth as they were, and I claim the title as my own. Bel'Veth's titanic body bristles. Golden beams gently dapple the light above her ray-like form, framing the void sea's false sun-like rings of a dying world. New flesh breathes as it ripples against the facsimile of a tidal current. veins briefly illuminated before pulling themselves away from the surface of the monster's skin, each somehow alive and independent, nations unto themselves. Schools of void remora in the tens of thousands swim around their empress like birds circling the peak of a distant mountain. It's beautiful in a way. If the void had a god, this is what it would look like. Hideous and monstrous and beautiful. Kaisa is so struck by the enormity of what she is witnessing that she doesn't fully realize when the arms of the wall have not just let her go, but lowered her to the ground. It's hard to take in everything at once. It chose its own name, she thinks, reflectively brushing a stray void hand from her shoulder. It's not possible. Void entities do not name themselves. Most, like the Xursai, are named after concepts from Shuriman history, usually by those fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, to survive after encountering one of those monsters out on the dunes. They don't have the presence of mind to do it, or the self-awareness. But more importantly, Voidborn do not see value in names. They are an invention of the living world, and they do not want them. So why does she? I'll fight you, says Kaisa, defiant but unsure of what to do or where to strike. I'll kill you. You will not, replies the many voices of Bel'Veth. You are incapable of resistance at even its basest form. Others have come before you in the age before my birth, each would-be hero wielding weapons they believed would repel the void. But all were ultimately consumed. The meager fragments that remained, if they remained at all, served as salt for the Lavender Sea. Only 2 still live, and of them, only you retain your full mind. 2? You and your father. Something sinks in the center of Kaisa's chest. Her thoughts spin wildly, verging on the edge of panic. But for now, she has to stay focused on this moment. There's no trusting whatever the Empress is. It's a living abomination. The personified concept of unfilling global genocide. You're lying, Kaisa seethes. That's not even possible. I do not lie, Kaisa, the Empress continues. I have no need. The void's eventual triumph is an unshifting absolute. It demands no lies, half-truths, or questions. Open your mind, and I will show you. Space contracts. Bel'Veth's gigantic body pulls and distorts, retracting into a smaller, now more recognizable shape. She floats silently downwards, looming over Kaisa, as tendrils and eye stalks rearrange to form the oblong segmented pretender of a human head. Bel'Veth's 2 faces observe her audience before the creature cloaks herself in her wings, appearing once more as a towering woman of great importance. The shrinking is much more disgusting than the growing, Kaisa decides. It lacks the gravitas of the Leviathan's grand unveiling, while still looking and unsoundingly, creatively grotesque. You are alive because I allow you to live, speaks the Empress. Now from her human head, with its deep, perpetually disappointed voice. You should have realized this by now. Kaisa wants to argue the point, but quickly glances at the 20-meter gash in the ground where a single strike had sent her careening only moments before. Bel'Veth hit so fast that Kaisa wasn't even able to process what had happened. And then, the Empress had mutated her proportions over 200 times their original size, in under a minute. She also, presumably, controls the undulating pocket of living hell, this so-called Lavender Sea. She is surrounded by not the time to pick a fight. Kaisa does some quick calculations in her head, her eyes darting around as she tries to figure out what she's actually up against. Bel'Veth's human face twitches with interest, curls its lips, then begins to mimic her. Kaisa already knows she's lost. How fast can one person think? How fast can they react? Up against all that combined human biology, all that brain power. In that time it takes even a skilled tactician to formulate a plan, hundreds of millions of possibilities run through Bel'Veth's mind in a span of a single second as she draws from the stolen memories of everything and everyone that has ever passed through this old city. An incalculable number of lives, every captive opponent faced with an overwhelming enemy since the formation of Runeterra could be snapped in and out of this thing's cinematic awareness, their emotions cataloged, dissected. So what happens now? Kaisa allows. What is one answer when your opponent has thousands? You will follow, says the Empress, turning and floating through the patches of thick, mutant coral as they bow respectfully out of her way. Kaisa pauses, watching her host glide silently through the chaotic mess of partial buildings, ghostly limbs, sewn together, semi-objects and pearlescent structures in a crude likeness of human beings walking through a garden. Great, she thinks. Even by Void standards, this is weird. You may ask whatever you like, Bel'Veth adds. The last part gets Kaisa's attention. Right. Well, first question. What are you? Queries Kaisa, her armor now relaxed and mobile as she follows from a safe distance. She brushes aside a floating teddy bear fused with dozens of flapping gull wings and stifles her impulse to gag as the creature struggles against its own lopsided weight. What is all this? What part of the void do you come from? I am the void, replies Bel'Veth, and this is what we will become. Kaisa stammers. But you said you were created from the people, the city. You're saying you want to become the city? No, says Bel'Veth. The void has existed for millennia. Before the first stars were kindled in the emptiness beyond this world, we simply were, perfect, singular, and silent. And then there came the sound. Reality was born from those whispers, and it consumed us. We were twisted by its influence, broken, transformed. We could not go back to what we were, no matter how hard we struggled. My progenitors, the Watchers, attempted to invade and destroy existence, but they were tainted by it, driven to desire worship, to gain greater understanding. And in an instant, they were betrayed, to change so forcefully, so completely, only to be cast aside. It filled them with indescribable hatred. They would annihilate all of reality without a second thought. Bel'Veth glides to the precipice overlooking a tremendous chasm. Far above, Kaisa sees massive holes beyond Fox sunlight. Void-born tunnels. That's what's eating Talia's people, what destroyed Bel'Veth, and what opened up to swallow the tent city in the southeast Shurima. Everything the void devours ends up here. But, Bel'Veth continues, their metamorphosis was incomplete. Only now is the true transformation beginning, declares the Empress. I don't want to become one city. We will become all of you. Kaisa reaches the pinnacle of the precipice and gasps. She and Bel'Veth are gazing upon not quite a city, but void corals shaped into bizarre, seemingly endless tapestry of inverted Shuriman-style buildings. Void remora school among them, and dark shapes shift along winding, crooked streets. Nothing is right. nothing is correct. It's all half finished. Like there's not enough information to go on. Like all it needs is... No, Kaisa protests, almost to herself. The void wants to erase everything. It can't exist. To finish this, you need everything. Yes, replies Bel'Veth. Everything. I am the void. I will sup upon your world until there is nothing left, and I will exist, because there is nothing you can do that will stop me. The Empress turns to Kaisa coldly, purposefully. I offer you this, daughter of the void. Your world must end for the sake of mine. But those who came before us, the Watchers, I am an affront to them. Creation burns them, and they will destroy you and me and everything to stop that pain. Should they escape their prison, there will be no breaking their tide. Time will come to a close, and all things will end. Kaisa stares Bel'Veth in her false eyes, a grim defiance spreading through her. You want to wipe us out. Why would I ever help you do that? Aid me in the destruction of the Watchers, and I will spare your kind for a moment. A month, a year, more. Perhaps in that time you will find a weapon that can slay me, or a hero who can face me. You will not, but you can try. I offer you one chance. It is more than they will give you. Kaisa's rage boils over as Bel'Veth turns away to look below, the Empress watching her new world take shape. What if I don't want to? Growls Kaisa. What if I kill you here? You cannot, says Bel'Veth. You lack the will, the knowledge, and the strength. I am your only salvation. Kaisa's armor shudders violently to life, its jets heating as the suit shivers with fear. Kaisa tries to control it with her thoughts, but the parasite seemingly knows something she does not. She attempts to wrestle away control, her eyes turning from Bel'Veth for only a moment in order to... Oh no. The razor-sharp tip of the Empress wings jab Kaisa in the chest, lifting her off the ground as she struggles to break free. Kaisa fires everything she has. Missiles rain down on the Empress. Bolts of searing purple energy scream towards her body, and beams of light that have torn Lesser Voidborn in half dance across her semi-transparent skin. Nothing. No effect. Daughter of the Void, you will find the Watchers and confirm the truth, or your light will be snuffed out side by side with all the others. This is not a threat. It is my promise. Bel'Veth releases her grip and Kaisa rockets into the false sky above Bel'Veth's alien sea. The twin city of Lavender glitters below, its windows slick with bioluminescent and tumbling, unformed awful things. Kaisa blasts through one of the Voidborn tunnels into the blinding light of day. The Empress turns away, gazing once more over her world of want. Kaisa bursts through the sands of southern Shurima, slamming hard against the dunes as she heaves, her entire body pulled and tossed like a rubber ball. The glowing husk of the city of Bel'Veth smolders quietly in the distance, devoid of any recognizable life, as new things skitter through it and build the land that would spread over everything. A cancer to consume the world. The entire display is dizzyingly awful, as if all of reality is spinning violently in the wind.